I'm Heidi Mayo. I'm an art teacher here in Plymouth at the Top of the World Studio Gallery. Every year for the past 6 years, PAC TV has hosted my annual student exhibit. And this year, I taught over 50 students, and probably about half of those will be displaying their artwork at the PAC TV Gallery from April 11th to May 12th. And on the 11th of April, we have our grand opening. It's quite a gala affair. It's a big party from 5 to 7 p.m. here at the gallery, where all the families and friends come and look at the artwork, and we have lots of refreshments, and it's just a wonderful way for the young artists and emerging artists to get a taste of what it's like to be a professional artist. This is to see their work hanging on the wall, and they can sell it if they want to. And it's just a wonderful opportunity that PAC TV Gallery provides for me every year and for my students. Every year we have an auction where we choose a charity that we will benefit. The students, a handful of students, create paintings. I frame them up, and there's a silent auction during the opening this year on April 11th. The charity that will be benefited by our auction this year is End Hunger New England, a wonderful charity that is under the umbrella of Outreach. You can Google that and find out all about them. They feed the hungry all over the world, but this particular faction feeds the hungry in New England. So it's a wonderful charity that we look forward to sending them a nice bunch of money this year. The kids are doing really colorful, hot sunsets. And in front of those sunsets, there will be whatever they choose, silhouetted. I know a couple of girls are going to do their own profiles. These silhouettes, the theme kind of, and that we're working towards is, if you don't have food to eat, then you couldn't even be a silhouette. So that's why we're doing silhouettes, and also, it's fun and different. And I will frame them up, and so you should show up here at PAC TV Gallery on the 11th of April between 5 and 7 if you want to bid on these awesome works of art that the kids are so generously donating. I feel so lucky and am so grateful that the parents of my students see the talent that their children have and send them to me, because the kids that I teach are so talented and so smart and awesome that I know that in the public schools now, the arts are really kind of taking a back seat, and so these parents see just how much benefit their children get from art education and from coming to me every week. I just want to say thank you to all of the parents that believe in their children and know how important the creative mind is to develop. My students range in age from 5 to, this year, 60. Mainly the kids are kindergarten through juniors in high school. And I mix them all up. Everybody learns from each other, so I don't mind having mixtures of ages in the same class, because kids really do learn from each other. I have some kids that come every single week, so when there's a new kid in the class, I let them do a lot of the teaching, and it shows me that they know what I've been talking about to them. On Mondays, I teach 12 and up, and anybody who's 12 or over is considered an adult in my class. And so these 12 and up, it's a longer class, and it's more sophisticated. It's called Art as a Verb. And what I do is I teach these kids to get their brain out of the operation of art, because your brain makes a big deal out of things that are really small, especially in visual art. So we call it Art as a Verb, and we get the brain out of the equation and let our eye tell our hand what to do. And I have the younger kids do this all the time too. and Down and Dirty with pastels. That's the other class I teach. In the summertime, I teach something called Backyard Naturalist, where kids keep a nature journal, and they really increase their observation skills and their respect for nature, and they become much better artists by drawing what they see very quickly because things move around outside. So those are the basic ones. I also will do parties if somebody wants to have a party, and the favor is everybody goes away with a painting that they made. We paint from life as much as possible because when people are, rendering a picture to a picture, you're doing 2D to 2D. But when you're taking a real life 3D thing and rendering a 2D painting, you learn so much more about all the elements of creating good artwork. So everything is an opportunity to make artwork for us. The teapot, the pepper mill, I have a bag full of plastic animals. Everything is an opportunity to make art, to draw what you see. I often have the kids and grown-ups do contour drawing, where they keep their eye on the subject, their hand on the paper, they don't lift the pencil, and they don't take their eye off the subject, so they let their eye tell their hand what to do. And it's the basis of good art. The seasons and holidays bring great opportunities for making art. I use seasonal stuff as a springboard for what we do and the lessons that I teach, such as at Halloween time. I have a skeleton whose name is Bones Jones. His proportions are correct, and he does yeoman service for us during the Halloween season so that the kids have to use him as a model. We also use candy, where they get to eat what they painted after they do a really good job making a painting. One year I had the great candy corn challenge, wine glass filled with candy corn. Not an easy thing to paint. And these kids, who are ranging from kindergarten to 7th grade, can pull this stuff off unbelievably well because they haven't started self-judging the way that grown-ups do. Not only do we use Bones Jones, but pumpkins, things of the harvest, monsters, scary stuff, all those kinds of things work for us during the Halloween season. We like to learn from the great masters often, as much as we can. And so every once in a while, I will focus on a great master. At Halloween time, it just happened to work out that there's a Cézanne painting that's called a still life with skull that has a skull in it. So the fruits of the season, apples and whatnot, set up a still life very similar to the one that Cézanne used with the skull, and give the kids an opportunity to paint like a great master. So they see the painting, they see the setup in the still life, and they render their own Cézanne. And I had an older kid who did a Cézanne too that was just fabulous. Mothers love flowers. They also love babies. So when Mother's Day or gift-giving time is coming around, we will often do paintings of mothers and babies, mother animals and baby animals, because they're so cute. And kids like making them too. And mothers love getting them as gifts. But more than that, they love flowers because moms, women in general, love flowers. So I set up a lot of still lifes with flowers as the centerpiece and fruit around it and other stuff. And we see a lot of that because it's just an excellent way for kids to learn to paint what they see. Painting what you see is like the most important thing that I teach, not what you think, what you see with your eyes. At Christmas time, we use the season to learn an awful lot about snow, which is not white ever. white animals, which aren't ever white. We never use white. We don't even have white. We have a lot of very light colors. And the kids learn so much about the value of values. Dark values, light values. They learn how to make fur look like fur. They learn how to slowly build the values so that an animal's face will look real. These kids are amazing, and they actually hear what I say, and they follow through. And some of the works that you will see in the exhibit are just amazing. Snow, shadows, stuff like that. Christmas, we make Christmas cards. I print out Christmas cards, so each kid has 4 Christmas cards to give with the envelopes and stuff like that. We make Christmas gifts. We frame them up in dollar store frames. And so we use the holidays, and especially the snowy season, to learn so much about light and shadow and how it reacts on snow and animals' fur. Whenever the weather is good, we go outside. One thing is very important. I personally can't be inside on a nice day, and I don't expect that most of these kids can either. So we go outside as much as we possibly can, and we paint what is available to us out there. So we paint en plein air, which is French for outside. We also do summer projects, such as last summer we made Play-Doh, and we colored the Play-Doh, and then we made stuff out of the Play-Doh. And then we also made finger paints, and we colored the finger paints with food coloring, and then made finger paint people. We can get very messy in the summertime because we can be outside and at the top of the world, which is my studio gallery that is under construction, and it can get very messy up there. Quite often, at least twice a year, I make the kids concentrate on the face and on figures because, like I keep on saying, the brain gets in the way and makes a big deal out of small things. You know, they tend to make the eyes huge, the heads are giant, the bodies are little, you know. So we talk about proportion a lot. And as part of the lessons of learning how to do faces and figures, I often will take pictures of the kids, put them under a grid, and then I have this thing that we created called the Sketch-O-Matic, where my husband made frames and drilled holes in them, and then I strung them up with elastic. And so it's a movable grid system where kids and grown-ups can put everything that's important to make a face, a portrait, look like the person they're doing, or a body to have the correct proportions. And by using this Sketch-O-Matic, they, without even realizing it, start to understand the reality of proportions in the human body. We often will use sports figures such as gymnasts or football players or basketball players, baseball players, ice dancers and whatnot, because that body in motion is just going a little bit further in the learning of how to make figures happen. You know, I teach things like foreshortening. See my fist? You can't see my arm. Foreshortening, negative space, and how these things are as important to making good art as, you know, looking at the thing and drawing the thing. What's not there is as important as what is there. Kids love to paint animals. Oftentimes I will say to them, when the class is ending one week, what do you want to do next time? And they say, animals. So oftentimes, as a break from the heavy art academic aspect of what they get taught every week, I let them do animals. I let them choose the animals. Sometimes we do fish, sometimes we do birds, sometimes we do animal babies and their mothers, sometimes we do cute little fuzzy things, sometimes we do scary bears, and we just do all sorts of animals, even frogs and insects too. There's no end to it. So animals are a great respite, and at the same time, they think they're just being able to do what they want to do, but they actually learn an awful lot about painting at the same time, about making art, even when they're just doing an animal from a picture. So that's when I let them use pictures, you know, when there are certain things that have to be referred to, such as an animal. And I have files and files and files of animals, and the kids love them. I tried to give these kids a really well-rounded art education. I have some children who have been coming to me since they were in kindergarten, and now they are in the 6th grade. So they tend to go, oh, we're doing perspective again, or we're doing faces and figures again. And I say, yes. Do you think that an artist, a professional artist, somebody from back in the day, before there were cameras and internet and such, they did things over and over and over again, and that is how they learned to really see what they were doing. So at least once a year, usually more like twice a year, we will look at one-point perspective as a way to get kids to understand how things that get smaller as they go further away, how things go higher up on the page as they get further away in a painting. And so they learn by using simple perspective. The kids learn a whole lot about how to make a good painting and how to make a composition work better. Yes, we do color studies too. We often will do a lot of different colors of paper with the same subjects so that the kids can see how the paper that we use to make pastels on is called support. And the reason why it's called a support is because what color are you using? And we never use white, never. What color you're using supports the painting that you're making. One picture in particular that a kid did on bright red of bears. I mean, you can just see how the bears come alive because of the support was bright red. So oftentimes I'll take some fruits and a simple still life and give them 4 different colors and have them do the same little piece on the 4 pieces of paper that are different colors, and the kids will see how the support works to support their paintings. We do acrylic painting in the summertime too, because you can outside. You know, I can't do that in my kitchen. So I'll take a painting such as Starry Night and have the kids use that and see how they work it with the paints, because they're not accustomed to using acrylic paints and paint brushes. They're accustomed to using pastels. So it's always good to get their feet wet with other mediums too. In summer, I have a lot of sunflowers in my backyard that get planted. They're volunteers from the birdseed. And so there's tons of sunflowers. So of course we have to take advantage of that. And everybody becomes a mini Vinnie. And so we have many, mini Vinnies over the course of a few weeks in the summertime. And everybody takes advantage of these gorgeous sunflowers that I have in my backyard. Every once in a while, when it's really cold, such as this February vacation, we went tropical and just did palm tree on the beach, show what a palm tree's shadow looks like, and just feel the heat of the painting, of the warm colors, which are yellows, things with yellows and red in them. Speaking of cool and warm, at the holiday time, I happen to have 2 different sets of lights, one on my porch and one on my fence. They're both white, supposedly, but one of them are warm and they're yellowy orange, and the other ones are cool and they're blue. So I take all the kids over the window and I point at the ones on the fence and I point at the ones on the porch and go, what color are those lights? And they say, they're not white. Some are blue and some are orange or yellow. And that's how I use those kinds of things to teach kids about the difference between warm and cool and values and stuff like that. One of the reasons why I got back into art, into doing art, that suddenly became teaching art. In fact, one of my first jobs was teaching art when I was 15 years old for the Duxbury Art Association. So I got back into art in every way, is because I had written a book And I started making illustrations for the book. And then the world wasn't ready for the book. The book is about a horseshoe crab and a girl. So I put the book away for 7 years. And this year I've brought the book back out. I'm creating new illustrations for the book and getting it ready for publication. So right now, in addition to teaching my art classes, I am getting Nelson Telson, The Story of a True Blue Blood, my middle grade novel, ready for publication, and it should be out within the year. If you'd like to see these wonderful works of art, please come to the PAC TV Gallery between April 11th and May 12th. If you would like to know more about my classes at the Top of the World Studio Gallery, the Top of the World has a public Facebook page where you can see all the paintings that the kids have done over the course of the past few years, because I always now remember to put them up there. I also have a website, www.heidimayo.com, where you can learn more about the classes, you can get in touch with me, and you can see even more artwork there, some of mine. I am really grateful to PAC TV for allowing me to have this show here at their beautiful gallery. I feel so lucky that PAC TV has this wonderful gallery that is just a great venue for this kind of thing. And the coolest thing about this PAC TV and the gallery is that most of my students are from Plymouth, Kingston, and Duxbury, and PAC TV now serves all three of those towns. So it's just a really wonderful thing that these students will be able to turn on PAC TV and see this gallery spotlight and show it to their friends and tell them when it's on. And I love public access television. I believe in communications and public access. And I think PAC TV is probably one of the best access centers in the country. And I'm a lifetime member. I love PAC TV. Thank you, PAC TV.